Are you interested in learning about Nmap and how it can help you understand ports better? Do you want to see practical demonstrations of Nmap scanning techniques? If so, you are in the right place. In this video, we will explore the world of port scanning and Nmap. We will start by discussing what ports are and why they are important. Then we will dive into different scanning types and techniques used by Nmap, including TCP Connect, SYN, UDP, Null, FIN, XMAS, AC, and Windows scans. And finally, we will put our newfound knowledge to the test with some practical demonstrations. Ports are endpoints where data is sent and received between devices on a network. They are identified by number from 0 to 65,535, so there are total 65,535. Now there are some ports that are reserved for well-known services and protocols, and these are from 0 to 1023 and from 1024 to 49,000 to 151. Ports are registered for use by application and services, and ports from 49,152 to 65,535 are available for dynamic and private use and are not registered. These are some of the common ports and their respective services which run on these ports. Among these are the famous ones are the port number 22, which runs Secure Shell for secure login, and the type of this is TCP or UDP, and 53 for DNS, domain name server, and so on. Now let's understand different Nmap scan techniques and types. We will discuss these 8 types of different port scanning techniques. A choice of the port scan type depends on the specific use case in the target network's configuration. So the first one is TCP Connect scan. Imagine you are calling a friend and you wait for them to pick up the phone and say hello. A TCP Connect scan works similarly, where it establishes a full TCP connection with the target's host ports to determine whether they are open, closed, or filtered. However, this is the slowest type of scan since it completes the full TCP handshake. This is also the default scan type in Nmap, and it is generally reliable, but as said, it is the slowest scan type. The usage and command format for this one is Nmap --S capital T and then target type P. This diagram shows the TCP connection, process a client, send the sync with port, the server respond with sync and acknowledge packet. A client then also send reset and acknowledge. If these three, their handshake is completed, that means the port is open. Otherwise, the port will be supposed to be closed. Now SYN scan. The SYN scan is like sending a quick hello to check if the other person is there. This type of scan sends sync packets to the target host ports and analyzes the response to determine whether the port is open, closed, or filtered. Faster than a TCP Connect scan since it does not complete the full TCP handshake. To do a SYN scan, you will write Nmap --S and capital S and in the target machine. Third one is UDP scan. A UDP scan is like shouting out a question and waiting for a response, but sometimes you don't get back. This type of scan sends UDP packets to the target host ports to determine whether they are open or closed. Since UDP is stateless protocol, this type is less reliable than TCP scans. And to do a UDP scan, you write Nmap --S capital U and then the target type P. The fourth one is the null scan. A null scan is like sneaking up to the door and listening for any sounds to determine whether someone is home. This type of scan sends packets with no flags set to the target host ports. If the port is open, the target host should not respond. If the port is closed, the target host should send a TCP reset packet. So for example, this is the attacker and this is the server. The TCP packet with no flag set is sent by the attacker. If the server sends no response, it means that the port is open, and if attacker sends TCP packet with no flags set and the server sends a reset acknowledge packet, that means that the port is closed. And the fifth one is a FIN scan. A FIN scan is like ringing the doorbell and running away to see if anyone is home. This type of scan sends packets with only the FIN flags set to the target's host port to determine whether the port is open or closed. If the port is closed, the target host should respond with the TCP reset packet. To do a fin scan, we write nmap space -s capital F and then target IP. Sixth one is Xmascan. An Xmascan is like throwing a Christmas party and inviting everyone to see who shows up. This type of scan sends packets with defend push and urgent flags set to the target host port to determine whether the port is open or closed. If the port is closed, the target host should respond with a TCP reset packet. To do an Xmascan, we write nmap space SX and then target. A seventh one is the acknowledge scan. An ACK-scan is like asking a friend if they are free to hang out and checking if they respond with a confirmation or denial. This type of scan sends packets with only the acknowledge flag set to the target host ports to determine whether the port is stateful or stateless. This scan type is often used to map out firewall rules. To do an ACK-scan, we write nmap, then space A and then target. The final one is the window scan. Window scan is like testing a key in a door to see if it fits the lock. This type of scan sends packets with a specific window size to the target's host ports to determine whether the port is open, closed, or filtered. This scan type can bypass certain types of firewalls that filter packets based on their size. To do a window scan, we write nmap space -s capital W and then target, so there you have it. Add different types of port scans that Nmap offers. Now let's once more understand the working of the Nmap. In simple words, again, this is Nmap, or on attacker machine. The Nmap sends specifically crafted packets to the target host and where to receive the reply from the target. The target then sends the replies to the requests sent by the Nmap packets. Nmap then receives these packets and analyzes them and then decides whether the host is alive, what service is used by the host, whether what ports are open, what ports are closed, what is the OS run by the host, and many more. Now the fun part is here. Let's practically understand these 8 types of different scanning techniques offered by Nmap. Now before going to practical demonstration, let me once again explain my lab setup for this tutorial. In my VM virtual box, I have set up a vulnerable machine with name hackable that we see how to set up in our previous videos, and we are on VMware Workstation. This will be our attacker machine on which we have installed Nmap. Using this machine, we will scan this target and apply different scanning techniques and NSC Nest scripting engine to find different vulnerabilities in this target. Alright, so let's first paint our vulnerable machine or target to see if it is accessible from our attacker machine. From the reply we can see that we can access our target machine. Now let's do a default scan. Nmap and just try the target IP. It may take some time because Nmap is looking for all the ports to see whether they are open or closed. So these are the ports that are open on our target, including 22 SSH, HTTP, HTTPS, and so on. Alright, so first let's check if our target machine is accessible from our attacker machine or not. Ping and then the IP of the target are the host name of the target, which in our case is 192.168.56 and 101. Press enter. If we get reply from the target, it means that the target is accessible. By the way, you can use any target for practicing Nmap. One of the famous one is scanme.nmap.org, so let's paint it scanmenmap.org so we can see that this domain is also accessible for us. But since we have already set up all labs, so we will use this target for our all demonstrations, let's do a default scan on our target. Nmap and our target IP. Press enter. Let's wait for the Nmap to show the output. Alright, we can see that a lot of ports are open on our target vulnerable machine, including 22 SSH and HTTP and HTTPS. Let me also open Wireshark so we can see what packets are sent by Nmap and what we get in response. Kali Linux comes pre-installed with Wireshark, so just go to the application launcher and search for Wireshark. So we will apply this filter IP address equal this IP, which is our attacker machine, and an IP address double equal this IP, which is our victim machine. After applying this filter, we will see only the packets between our attacker machine and our victim or target Pin the IP address. When we open the Wireshark, we can see that IP packets are transferred between our target and our attacker. Now let's do a TCP connect scan. Nmap ST and IP address 192.168.56.101. Press enter. Now in Wireshark we can see lots of packets. That is because we have not specified any single port. So by default Nmap scans the 1000 most commonly used TCP ports when performing a scan. So in order to find that which of the 1000 port is open or closed, the Nmap has to do a complete TCP three-way handshake. And for the ports which completes this handshake, it will mean that the port is open, and the rest of the ports which do not complete the TCP three-way handshake, it will mean that the ports are closed. So in order to see the packets for an open ports, let's again scan a single port Nmap STIP, and before IP we have to specify #p and followed by the port number letters. Check the port number 22 before that. Let's clear the output from the Wireshark. Let's press enter to scan a single port 22. This switch will scan only port 22 on this target. Alright, we can see that first our attacker machine on Nmap has sent a SYN request, and in response it has received an ACK in this one, and finally and again the reset and acknowledge and then acknowledge. This means that since the three-way handshake is completed, so the Nmap has told us that the port number 22 is open. This was the output from our TCP connect scan, in which we found that these ports were open on our target victim machine. Now let's do a SYN scan. Write Nmap S and capital S followed by the target IP. Press enter. Alright, we can see that if you requested when you run this command for the SYN scan, the Nmap tells you that you are requested a scan type which requires root privileges. So some scan require us to run the command with root privileges. So we will write sudo in nmap ss followed by the IP of the target machine. Press enter and enter your password. We can see that a SYN scan is also called stealth scan. If you see the Wireshark, we can see that the Nmap is sending a lot of SYN packets to our target. That is why this type of scan is called the SYN scan. It is not completing a faulty TCP handshake, but just sending SYN packets. As we can see that this type of scan is taking lots of time, so we will use a switch which will speed up our scanning. Let's cancel this scanning with Ctrl+C and re-enter this command with a flag capital T5. We will explain the timing customization of the Nmap commands in our latter videos. For now, let's just press enter. So -T5 is the highest speed of the Nmap, and we can see that in a very less time. We have scanned the target using the SYN scan and using the highest speed by using the T5 flag. Now let's do a UDP scan using SU flag Nmap small s capital U in our target 192.168.56.1.1. By the way, we can store our target IP in a shell variable and just refer to the IP by using that variable. Okay, so the UDS can also require us to run the command with root privileges, so we will add the sudo in front. This scan also seems to take lots of our time, so we will also use the T5 flag for the highest speed possible. Let's just cancel this scan and the space T5 flag for high speed. Now from the Wireshark we can see that Nmap is using the UDP protocol for scanning the UDP ports. That is because we are using a UDP scan. Even with T5 flags set up, this scan is taking lots of our time. So next time we will set a flag which will enable us to see the opened or closed ports in real time so that we do not have to wait for the full scan to finish. Let's just cancel this scan and rerun it with the flag. Which stands for verbose. Press enter. As we can see that as the Nmap is scanning the ports, it is also displaying the output. Alright, so in this found an open port which is 137 UDP, which was not visible in our previous scans because all of the previous scans were looking for the TCP ports. Alright, so we got the idea about the UDP scans. We will cancel this scan and move forward with our next type of scan. Alright, now let's do a null scan. Let's clear our screen with clear command and nmap sn followed by the target 192, 168, 56 and 101. So this command also requires us to use the pseudo privileges. Let's see Wireshark and examine what types of flags are set with this command, and let me see that none of the flags are set. That is why this type of scan is called the null scan. No surprisingly, this scan has shown us that no port is open, since by default this scans only the most common 1000 ports. So maybe if we scan all the ports we may come up with some open ports. Now let's do a fin scan which sends only the fin leg packet send map space -sf and our target. Press enter. This one also requires to use the pseudo privileges. From the Wireshark we can see that only the fin flag is set in the packets. Now let's do another scan, the XMask scan. Before this, let's save our target IP in a variable called T and let's equate it with the IP 192.168.56 and 101. So this is not the correct way to declare a shell variable. We do not need to enter the $sign, so this is not the correct way to store a shell variable. We do not need this symbol while assigning. We just have to write the name of the variable followed by the value of the variable 192.168.56 and 101. Press enter. So to view the content of the shell variable we have to echo and then the name of the variable prefixed with the dollar symbol. Alright, we will just use the $D in all of our following commands. So let's do an xmask scan sa do nmap. And space -sx and then $D for target. Press enter. So this was the xmask scan. Now let's do an acknowledge scan, axscan, same command, just change our flag to SA and press enter. Now let's do final scan, which is the Windows scan. So do Nmap and SW for window, followed by the target variable. So the Windows scan has shown some more ports that were not shown by the previous commands. So lots of other ports have been shown as open by this command. Alright, so these were the main ports can type Nmap, each using a different method to determine the state of the target host ports. Let's finally discuss the most important aspect of the Nmap scan types, which is the stealthiness or the loudness of the scanning. Nmap scan types can be either stealthy or noisy. When you are port scanning with Nmap, some types of scan generate lots of traffic and are easy to detect, while others are more sneaky and a by detection. So it's like trying to sneaking on a sleeping cat versus slamming the door. One is stealthy and the other is noisy. Stealthy scans aim to avoid detection by the target host or security devices, while noisy scans generate more traffic and are easier to detect. TCP connect, scan, and SYN scans are generally considered noisy because they involve establishing a connection with the target host. UDP scans are typically more stealthy because they don't require a full connection and generate less traffic. Nullfan and XMask scans are also considered stealthier because they use unusual flag combination that are less likely to be logged or detected. ACK and Windows scans can also be stealthy depending on how they are executed. The specific network environment and security measures in place can affect the stealthiness of a scan type. Just like how different cats will react differently to being petted, different network environments and security measures will react differently to different scan types. It's important to understand the environment you are scanning and to choose a scan type that is appropriate for the situation. It's important to exercise caution and consider potential risks when performing any type of port scan. So in conclusion, we understood what are ports, what are the different scanning techniques, and we also practically demonstrated different scanning techniques. And finally, we understood the stealthiness or the loudness of the different scanning techniques.